and she had sweated her shift through. I suppose I had reason to stay a little longer than we planned. I will be more careful next time, I promise. Nynaeve returned the pitcher of water to the washstand vigorously, sloshing some out. She had been on the point of throwing it in Egwene's sleeping face. Her features were composed, but the pitcher rattled the washbowl, and she let the spilled water drip to the carpet. Was it something you found? Or was it... Egwene, if the world of dreams can hold on to you in some way, maybe it is too dangerous until you learn more. Maybe the more often you go, the harder it is to come back. Maybe... I don't know. But I do know we cannot risk letting you become lost. She crossed her arms under her breasts, ready for an argument. I know, Egwene said, very close to meekly. Elaine's eyebrows shot up.
Hey, Fire, how you doing? Just making some tea real quick. Or finishing off some tea. It's lemon ginger tea.
To bathe her face and arms in the relatively cool water. Elaine found a dry shift in the wardrobe, while Egwene pulled off her sodden one. I met a wise one, a woman named Amis. Egwene's voice was muffled until her head popped out of the top of the new shift. She said I should come to her to learn about Tel Iron Riod at some place in the waste called Cold Rock's Hold. Elaine had caught a flicker of Avienda's eye at the mention of the wise woman's name. Do you know her, Amis? The Aiel woman's nod could only be described as reluctant. A wise one.
Good.
A dream walker. Amis was
Then I put some fresh cut up lemons
until
in
she
it
gave
too.
up the spear to go to Roydeen. A maiden, Egwene exclaimed. So that's why she... No matter. She said she is at Roydeen now. Do you know where this Cold Rock's Hold is, Avienda? Of course.
Roll one up.
Cold Rocks is Ruark's hold. Ruark is Amis's husband. I visit there sometimes. I used to. My sister-mother, Lian, is sister-wife to Amis. Elaine exchanged confused glances with Egwene and Nynaeve. Once Elaine had thought she knew a good bit about Aiel, all learned from her teachers in Caneland, but she had discovered since meeting Avienda how little she did know. Customs and relationships all were a maze. First sisters meant having the same mother, except that it was possible for friends to become first sisters by making a pledge before wise ones. Second sisters meant your mothers were sisters. If your fathers were brothers, you were father sisters, and not considered as closely related as second
Where's
sisters.
my phone? Oh, here
After
it is.
that, it truly grew
You gotta
bewildering.
share it out.
What does sister-wife mean? She asked hesitantly. That you have the same husband. Avienda frowned at the way Egwene gasped, and Nynaeve's eyes opened as wide as they would go. Elaine had been half expecting the answer, but she still found herself fussing with skirts that were perfectly straight. This is not your custom? The Aiel woman asked. No, Egwene said faintly. No, it is not. But you and Elaine care for one another as first sisters. What would you have done had one of you been unwilling to step aside for Randall Thor? Fight over him? Let a man damage the ties between you? Would it not have been better if you both had married him then? Elaine looked at Egwene. The thought of... Could she have done such a thing? Even with Egwene? She knew her cheeks were red. Egwene merely looked startled. But I wanted to step aside, Egwene said. Elaine knew the remark was as much for her as for Avienda, but the thought would not go away. Had Min had a viewing? What would she do if Min had? If it's Baron, I will strangle her and him too. If it has to be someone, why couldn't it be Egwene? What am I thinking? She knew she was becoming flustered, and to cover it she made her voice light. You sound as if the man has no choice in the matter. He can say no, Avienda said, as if it were obvious. But if he wishes to marry one, he must marry both when they ask. Please take no offense, but I was shocked when I learned
It's gonna
that
stay
in
hot
your
too,
lands,
just because it's
a
in
man can ask a woman to marry him. A man should make his interest known, then wait for the woman to speak. Of course, some women lead a man to see where his interest lies, but the right of the question is hers. I do not really know very
It's
much
a
of these
little
things.
store we
I
have here
wanted
called
to be
also
fond
like
of
a
Smythe since I was a
gas
child.
station
All I
convenience
want
store.
in life is the spear and my spear sisters, she finished quite fiercely. No one is going to try to make you marry, Egwene said soothingly. Avienda gave her a startled look. Nynaeve cleared her throat loudly. Elaine wondered if she had been thinking about Lan. There were certainly hard spots of color in her cheeks. I suppose, Egwene, Nynaeve said in a slightly
Oh yeah,
energetic
and they
voice,
actually have a bigger
that you
cup
did
than
not
that. They have a
find
big
what you were
old,
looking for, or you would have
like
said
one
something
about
by
like
now.
that.
I found nothing, Egwene replied regretfully. But
Cause they
Amos
have
said, Avienda, what sort of woman is Amos?
they have fountain drinks there
The
too, but
Aiel
it's like a
woman
big
had
old
taken
like
up a
64
study of
ounce cup, I think, or bigger.
Amos is hard as the mountains
I'll
and
as soon as I
red as
get
the
this
sun,
rolled up, I'll
she said
bring it and
without
show
moving.
y'all.
She is a dream walker. She can teach you. Once she lays her hands on you, she will drag you by the hair toward what she wants. Newark is the only one who can stand up to her. Even the other wise ones step carefully when Amos speaks. She can teach you. Egwene shook her head. I meant, would being in a strange place unsettle her, make her nervous? Being in a city? Would she see things that weren't there? Avienda's laugh was a short, sharp sound. Nervous? Waking to find a lion in her bed would not make Alice nervous. She was a maiden, Egwene, and she has grown no softer, you can be sure of it. What did this woman see? Nynaeve asked. It wasn't something she saw exactly, Egwene said slowly. I think not seeing. She said Tanchico had an evil in it, worse than men could make, she said. That could be the Black Aja. Don't argue with me, Nynaeve, she added in a firmer voice. Dreams have to be interpreted. It very well could be. Nynaeve had begun frowning as soon as Egwene mentioned evil in Tanchico, and her frown turned to a heated glare when Egwene told her not to argue. Sometimes Elaine wanted to shake both women. She stepped in quickly before the older woman could erupt. It very well could be, Egwene. You did find something, more than Nynaeve or I thought you would. Didn't she, Nynaeve? Don't you think so? It could be, Nynaeve said grudgingly. It could be. Egwene did not sound happy about it. She took a deep breath. Nynaeve is right. I have to learn what I'm doing. If I knew what I should, I would not have had to be told about the evil. If I knew what I should, I could have found the very room Leandrin is staying in, wherever she is. Amos can teach me. That is why I have to go to her. Go to her? Nynaeve sounded appalled. Into the waste? Avienda can take me right to this cold rock's hold. Egwene's look, half defiant, half anxious, darted between Elaine and Nynaeve. If I was certain they were in Tanchico, I wouldn't let you go alone, if you decide to. But with Amos to help me, maybe I can find out where they are. Maybe I can... That is just it. I do not even know what I'll be able to do, only that I am certain it will be far more than I can now. It isn't as if I will be abandoning you. You can take the ring with you. You know the stone well enough to come back here in Tel Riyadh. I can come to you in Tanchico. Whatever I learn from Amos, I can teach you. Please say you understand. I can learn so much from Amos, and then I can use it to help you. It will be as if all three of us had been trained by her. A dream walker. A woman who knows. Leandrin and the rest of them will be like children. They won't know a quarter of what we do. She chewed her lip, one pensive bite. You don't believe I'm running out on you, do you? If you do, I won't go. Of course you must go, Elaine told her. I will miss you, but no one promised us we could stay together until this was done. But the two of you, going alone, I should go with you. If they really are in Tanchico, I should be with you. Nonsense, Nynaeve said briskly. Training is what you need. That will do us far more good in the long run than your company to Tanchico. It isn't even as if we know any of them are in Tanchico. If they are, Elaine and I will do very well together. But we could arrive and find that this evil is no more than the war after all. The light knows war should be evil.
I'll be right back.
We may be back in the tower before you are. You must be careful in the waste, she added in a practical tone. It is a dangerous place. Avienda, you will look after her? Before the Aiel woman could open her mouth, there was a knock at the door, followed immediately by Moiraine. The Aes Sedai took them in with one sweeping look that weighed, measured, and considered them and what they had been doing, all without the twitch of an eyelid to suggest her conclusion. Joya and Amiko are dead, she announced. Was that the reason for the attack, then? Nynaeve said. All that to kill them? Or perhaps to kill them if they could not be freed? I'm sure Joya was so confident because she expected rescue. She must have been lying after all. I never trusted her repentance. Not the main purpose, perhaps, Moiraine replied. The captain very wisely kept his men to their posts in the dungeons during the attack. They never saw a single Trolloc or Murdral, but they found the pair dead after, each with her throat rather messily cut, after her tongue had been nailed to her cell door. She might as well have been speaking of having a dress mended. Elaine's stomach heaved leadenly at the detached description. I would not have wanted that for them, not like that. The light illumined their souls. They sold their souls to the shadow long ago, Egwene said roughly. She had both hands pressed to her stomach, though. How? How was it done? Grey men? I doubt even grey men could have managed that, Moiraine said dryly. The shadow has resources beyond what we know, it seems.
You see?
Yes. Egwene smoothed her dress and her boots.
I guess it is
If there was
64
no attempt at rescue, it
ounces.
must mean they were both telling the truth. They were killed because they talked. Or to stop them from it, Nynaeve added grimly. We can hope they do not know that those two told us anything. Perhaps Joya did repent, but I'll not believe it. Elaine swallowed, thinking of being in a cell, having your face pressed to the door, so your
We got
tongue
these
would
mainly
fold
to
out.
go fishing
She
with.
shivered, but made herself say, they might have been killed simply to punish them for being captured. She left out her thought that the killing might have been to make them believe whatever Joya and Amiko had said. They had enough doubts about what to do as it was. 3 possibilities, and only one says the Black Arja knows they revealed a word. Since all 3 are equal, the chances are that they do not know. Egwene and Nynaeve looked shocked. To punish them? Nynaeve said incredulously. They were both tougher than she in many ways. She admired them for it. But they had not grown up watching the maneuverings at court in Camelin, hearing tales of the cruel way Cairhienin and Tyrans played the games of houses. I think the Black Arja might be less than gentle with failure of any kind, she told them. I can imagine Leandrin ordering it. Joya surely could have done it easily. Moiraine eyed her briefly, a reassessing look. Leandrin, Egwene said, her tone absolutely flat. Yes, I can imagine Leandrin or Joya giving that command. You did not have much longer to question them in any case, Moiraine said. They would have been ship-bound by midday tomorrow. A hint of anger touched her voice. Elaine realized Moiraine must see the Black Sisters' deaths as an escape from justice. I hope you reach some decision soon, Kanchiko or the tower. Elaine met Nynaeve's eyes and gave a slight nod. Nynaeve nodded back more assertively before turning to the Aes Sedai. Elaine and I will be going to Tanchico as soon as we can find a ship. A fast ship, I hope. Egwene and Avienda will be going to Cold Rock's Hold in the Aiel Waste. She gave no reasons, and Moiraine's eyebrows rose. Jolien can take her, Avienda said into the momentary silence. She avoided looking at Egwene. Or Sefella, or Bane and Chiad. I have a thought to go with Elaine and Nynaeve. If there is war in this Tanchico, they have need of a sister to watch their backs. If that is what you want, Avienda, Egwene said slowly. She looked surprised and hurt, but no more surprised than Elaine. She had thought the two of them were becoming friends. I am glad you want to help us, Avienda, but you should be the one to take Egwene to Cold Rock's Hold. She is going neither to Tanchico nor Cold Rock's Hold, Moiraine said, taking a letter from her pouch and unfolding the pages. This was placed in my hand an hour
Good
gone.
for you.
The young Aiel man who brought it told me it was given to him a month ago before any of us reached here, yet it is addressed to me by name at the Stone of Tyr. She glanced at the last sheet. Avienda, do you know Amis of the Nine Valleys Sept of the Tardad Aiel? Bear of the Hydo Sept of the Sharad Aiel? Malaine of the Girard Sept of the Goshian Aiel? And Siana of the Black Cliff Sept of the Nakai Aiel? They signed it. They are all wise ones, Aes Sedai. All dreamwalkers. Avienda's stance had shifted to wariness, though she did not seem aware of it. She looked ready to fight or flee. Dreamwalkers, Moiraine mused. Perhaps that explains it. I have heard of dreamwalkers. She turned to the second page of the letter. Here is what they say about you. What they said, perhaps, before you had even decided to come to Tyr. There is among the maidens of the spear and the stone of Tyr a willful girl called Avienda of the Nine Valleys Sept of the Tardad Aiel. She must now come to us. There can be no more waiting or excuses. We will await her on the slopes of Chain there, above Ruidin. There is more about you, but mainly telling me that I must see you come to them without delay. They issue commands like the Amerlin, these wise ones of yours. She made a vexed sound, which brought Elaine to wonder if the wise ones had tried issuing commands to the Aes Sedai, too. Not very likely, and unlikely to be successful if tried. Still, something about that letter irritated the Aes Sedai. I am far Darais Mai, Avienda said angrily. I do not go running like a child when someone calls my name. I will go to Tanchico if I wish. Elaine pursed her lips thoughtfully. This was something new from the Aiel woman, not the anger. She had seen Avienda angry before, if not quite to this degree, but the undertone.
I got a few rolled up too, just doing a little couple dabs.
That seemed as unlikely as Lan being sulky, but there it was. Egwene heard it too. She patted Avienda's arm. If you want to go to Tanchico, I'll be pleased, but you are probably not naive. Avienda gave her a truly miserable look. Moiraine shook her head only slightly, but still deliberately. I showed this to Ruark. Avienda opened her mouth, her face irate, but the Aes Sedai raised her voice and went on smoothly. As the letter asks me to, only the part concerning you, of course. It seems quite determined that you will answer my tasks. I think it wisest to do as Ruark and the wise ones wish, Avienda. Do you not agree? Avienda stared around the room wildly, as at a trap. I am far Darais Mai, she muttered, and strode for the door without another word. Egwene took a step, half raising a hand to stop her, then let it fall as the door banged shut. What did they want with her? She demanded of Moiraine. You always know more than you know. What are you holding back this time? Whatever the wise one's reason, Moiraine said.
Why would I make a sandwich?
It is surely a matter
I'm not
between
hungry.
Avienda and
Have no
them.
reason to.
If she wished you to know, she would have told you. You cannot stop trying to maneuver people, Nynaeve said bitterly. You're maneuvering Avienda into something now, aren't you? Not I. The wise ones. And Ruark. Moiraine folded the letter, returning it to her belt.
Yeah, if you want one at the time, but I don't want one.
She can always say no to him. A clan chief is not the same as a king, as I understand Aiel ways. Can she? Elaine asked. Ruark reminded her of Gareth Green. The captain general of her mother's royal guards had seldom put his foot down, but when he did, not even Morgaze could bring her around short of a royal command. There was no command from the throne this time, not if Morgaze had ever issued one to Gareth Green when he had decided he was right.
For some blackberry
Elaine thought of it. And without one, she expected that Avienda was going to the slopes of Chain there, above Ruidin. At least she can journey with you, Egwene. Amis can hardly meet you at Cold Rock's Hold if she plans to wait for Avienda at Ruidine. You can go to Amis together. But I do not want her to, Egwene said sadly. Not if she doesn't
Why would I want to
to.
do that?
Whatever anyone wants, Nynaeve said. We have work to do. You will need many things for a trip into the Waste, Egwene. Lan will tell me what. And Elaine and I must make preparations to sail for Tanchico. I suppose we can find a ship tomorrow, but that means deciding what to pack tonight. There is a ship of the Arthur Anriere at the docks in the Mola, Moiraine told them. A raker. There are no ships faster. You did want a fast ship. Nynaeve gave a grudging nod. Moiraine, Elaine said. What is Rand going to do now, after this attack? Will he start the war you want? I do not want a war, the Aes Sedai replied. I want what will see him alive to fight Tarmon Gaiden. He says he will tell us all what he needs to do tomorrow. The smallest frown graced her smooth forehead. Tomorrow we will all know more than we do tonight. Her departure was abrupt. Tomorrow, Elaine thought. What will he do when I tell him? What will he say? He has to understand. Determinedly, she joined the other two to discuss their preparations.
Chapter 13. Rumors. The tavern's business rocked along like any in the mall. A wagon load of geese and crockery careering downhill through the night. Voices fought with strings and three assorted drums, dulcimers, and a that produced maids in dark ankle-length dresses with mix-up short white aprons. Crowded tables holding clusters of pottery mugs overhead so they could squeeze through. Barefoot, leather-vested dockmen mixed with fellows in coats tight to the waist and bare-chested men with broad, colorful sashes to hold up their baggy breeches. So close to the docks, specimens of outlanders were everywhere among the crowd. High collars from the north and long collars from the west. Silver chains on coats and belts, knee-high boots and thigh-high boots, necklaces or earrings on men, lace on coats or shirts. One man with wide shoulders and a big belly had a forked yellow beard, and another had smeared something on his
Just the right
mustache to make
temperature.
him glisten in the lamplight and curl up on either side of his narrow face. Dice rolled and tumbled in three corners of the room, on a number of tabletops, silver changing hands briskly to shouts and laughter. Matt sat alone with his back to the wall where he could see all the doors, though mostly he peered into a still untouched mug of dark wine. He did not go near the dice games, and he never glanced at the serving girl's ankles. The tavern so crowded, men occasionally thought to share his table, but a good look at his face made them sheer away and crowd out to a bench elsewhere. Dipping a finger in his wine, he sketched aimlessly on the tabletop. These fools had no idea what had happened in the stone tonight. He had heard a few tyrants mention some kind of trouble, quick words that trailed off into nervous laughter. They did not know and did not want to. He almost wished he did not know himself. No, he wished he had a better idea of what had happened. The images kept flashing in his head, flashing through the holes in his memory, making no real sense. The din of fighting somewhere in the distance echoed down the corridor, dulled by the wall hangings. He retrieved his knife from the gray man's corpse with a shaking hand. The gray man, and hunting him. It had to have been after him. Gray men did not wander about killing at random. They had targets as surely as an arrow. He turned to run, and there was a murderer.
Hope everyone's doing good out there.
Like a black snake on legs, its pasty-faced, eyeless stare sending shivers into his bones. At 30 paces, he hurled the knife straight at where an eye should have been. At that distance, he could hit a knothole no larger than an eye, 4 times in 5. The Fade's black sword blurred as it knocked the dagger away, almost casually. It did not even break stride. Time to die, Horn Sounder. Its voice was a red adder's dry hiss, warning of death. Matt backed away. He had a knife in either hand now, though he did not remember drawing them. Not that knives would be much good against a sword, but running meant that black blade in his back as sure as 5 6s beat 4 3s. He wished he had a good quarterstaff, or a bow. He would like to see this thing try to deflect a shaft from a Two Rivers longbow. He wished he were somewhere else. He was going to die here. Suddenly, a dozen Trollocs roared out of a side hallway, piling onto the Fade in a frenzy of chopping axes and stabbing swords. Matt stared in amazed disbelief. The halfmen fought like a black armored whirlwind. More than half the Trollocs were dead or dying before the Fade lay in a twitching heap. One arm flexed and thrashed like a dying snake 3 paces away from the body, still with that black sword in his fist. A ram-horned Trolloc peered toward Matt, snout lifted to sniff the air. It snarled at him, and whined, began licking a long gash that had laid open mail and hairy forearm. The others finished cutting the throats of their wounded.
Oh damn, that sucks, fire. Hopefully you can get it for a decent price.
And boots making hollow sounds on the stone floor. Away from him, Matt shivered.
Damn, that sucks, fire. What kind of shit is going on?
He saw what he had drawn with the wine, an open door, and scrubbed it out angrily. He had to get away from here. He had to. And he could also feel that urge in the back of his head, that it was time to go back to the stone. He pushed it away angrily, but it kept buzzing at him. He caught a snatch of talk from the table to his right, with a lean-faced fellow with the curling mustaches who was holding forth in a heavy Lugater accent.
Now, this dragon of yours is a great man, no doubt. I'll not be denying it. But he's not a patch on Loghain. Why, Loghain had all of Gillidan at war, and half of Amadisia and Altara as well. He made the earth swallow whole towns that resisted him, he did. Buildings, people and all entire. And the one up in Saldea, Masim, why, they say he made the sun stand still till he defeated the Lord Bashir's army. 'Tis a fact, they do say. Matt shook his head. The stone fallen and Collindor in Rand's hand, and this idiot still thought he was another false dragon. He sketched that doorway again.
1 second, everyone.
Rubbing a hand through it, he grabbed the mug of wine, then stopped with it halfway to his mouth. Through the commotion, his ear had picked out a familiar name spoken at a nearby table. Scraping back his bench, he made his way to that table, mug in hand. The people around it were the sort of odd mixture made in taverns in the Mola. 2 barefoot sailors wearing oiled coats over bare chests.
There you go.
One with a thick gold chain close around his neck. A once fat man with sagging jowls and a dark Kyrianan coat with slashes of red and gold and green across his chest, which might have indicated that he was a noble, though one sleeve was torn at the shoulder. A good many Kyrianan refugees had come down far in the world. A gray-haired woman, all in subdued dark blue, with a hard face and a sharp eye and heavy gold rings on her fingers. And the speaker, the fork-bearded fellow with a ruby the size of a pigeon's egg in his ear. The 3 silver chains looked across the straining chest of his dark, reddish coat, named him a Kandori master merchant. They had a guild for merchants in Kandor. The talk ceased and all eyes swung to Matt when he stopped at their table. I heard you mention the 2 rivers. Forkbeard ran a quick eye over him, the unbrushed hair, the tight expression on his face, and the wine in his fist, the gleaming black boots, the green coat with its gold scrollwork, open to the waist to reveal a snowy linen shirt. But both coat and shirt heavily wrinkled. In short, the very image of a young noble sporting himself among the commoners. I did, my lord, he said heartily. I was saying there'll be no tobacco out of there this year, I'll wager. I have 20 casks of the finest Two Rivers leaf, though, than which there is none finer. Fetch an excellent price later in the year, if my lord wishes a cask for his own stock. He tugged one point of his yellow beard and laid a finger alongside his nose. I am certain I could manage to. You'll wager that, will you? Matt said softly, cutting him short. Why would there be no tobacco out of the Two Rivers? Why, the white cloaks, my lord, the children of the light. What about the white cloaks? The master merchant peered around the table for help. There was a dangerous note in that quiet tone. The sailors looked as if they would leave if they dared. The Carrienan was glaring at Matt, sitting up too straight, and smoothing his worn coat as he swayed. The empty mug in front of him was obviously not his first. The gray-haired woman had her mug to her mouth, her sharp eyes watching Matt over the rim in a calculating way. Managing a seated bow, the merchant put on an ingratiating tone. The rumor is, my lord, that the white cloaks have gone into the two rivers. Hunting the dragon reborn, it said. Though, of course, that cannot be, since the Lord Dragon is here and here. He eyed Matt to see how that had been taken. Matt's face did not change. These rumors can run very wild, my lord. Perhaps it's only wind in a bucket. The same rumor claims the white cloaks are after some dark friend with yellow eyes, too. Did you ever hear of a man with yellow eyes, my lord? No more have I. Wind in a bucket. Matt set his mug on the table and leaned closer to the man. Who else are they hunting, according to this rumor? The dragon reborn? The man with yellow eyes? Who else? Beads of sweat formed on the merchant's face. No one, my lord. No one that I heard. Only rumor, my lord. Straws in the wind, no more. A puff of smoke soon vanished. If I might have the honor of presenting my lord a cask of Two Rivers Tabac, a gesture of appreciation. The honor of, to express my... Matt tossed an Andrum gold crown onto the table. Buy a drink on me till that runs out. As he turned away, he heard mutters from the table. I thought he'd cut my throat. You know these lordlings when they're full of wine. That from the fork-bearded merchant. An odd young man, the woman said. Dangerous. Do not try your ploys on that guy, patron. I do not think he is a lord at all, another man said petulantly. The Carrienan, Matt supposed. His lip curled.
Oh, yeah.
He would not be a lord if it was offered to him. That cloaks in the Two Rivers. Light. Light, help us. Plowing his way to the door, he pulled a pair of wooden clogs from the pile against the wall. He had no idea whether they were the ones he had worn in. They all looked alike, and did not care. They fit his boots. It had started raining outside, a light fall that made the darkness that much deeper. Turning up his collar, he splashed along the muddy streets of the Mullah in an awkward trot, past blaring taverns and well-lit inns and dark-windowed houses. When mud gave way to paving stones at the wall marking the inner city, he kicked the clogs off and left them lying as he ran on. The defenders guarding the nearest gate into the stone let him pass without a word. They knew who he was. He ran all the way to Perrin's room and flung open the door, barely noticing the splintered split in the wood. Perrin's saddlebags lay on the bed, and Perrin was stuffing shirts and stockings into them. There was only one candle lit, but he did not seem to notice the gloom. You've heard then, Matt said. Perrin went on with what he was doing. About home? Yes. I went down to sniff out a rumor for Pt.5. After tonight, more than ever, I have to get her. The growl, deep in his throat, made Matt's hackles rise. It sounded like an angry wolf. No matter.
Hey, John McDonald.
Maybe this will do as well. As well as what? Matt wondered. You believe it? For a moment, Perrin looked up. His eyes gathered the light of the candle, shining a burnished golden yellow. There doesn't seem to be much doubt to me. It's all too close to the truth. Matt shifted uncomfortably. Does Rand know? Perrin only nodded and went back to his packing. Well, what does he say? Perrin paused, staring at the folded cloak in his hands. He started muttering to himself. He said he'd do it. He said he would. I should have believed him. Like that. It made no sense. Then he grabbed me by the collar and said he had to do what they don't expect. He wanted me to understand. But I'm not certain he does himself. He didn't seem to care whether I leave or stay. No, I take that back. I think he was relieved I'm leaving. He's down, and he's not going to do anything, Matt said. Light. With Collindor, he could blast
I have
1,000 white cloaks.
the decal that Ozark made for me.
You're going, are you? Back to the
I
Two
kind of
Rivers?
messed it up
Alone?
right here,
Unless you are coming too. They
but
don't stuff the cloak into the saddlebags. Are you? Instead of answering, Matt paced back and forth, his face in half light and shadow by turns. His mother and father were in Emmonsfield, and his sisters.
I'll be
White
right
cloaks had
back.
no reason to hurt them.
I gotta go put this back.
If he went home, he had the feeling he would never leave again. That his mother would marry him off before he could sit down. But if he did not go, if the white cloaks harmed them, all it took was rumor for white cloaks, so he had heard. But why should there be any rumor about them? Even the Coplands, liars and troublemakers to a man, liked his father. Everyone liked Abel Coffin. You don't have to, Parent said quietly. Nothing I heard mentioned you. Only Rand and me. Burn me, I will go. He could not say it. Thinking of going was easy enough, but saying he would? His throat tightened up to strangle the words. Is it easy for you, Parent? Going, I mean. Don't you feel anything? Trying to hold you back? Telling you reasons you shouldn't go? 100 of them, Matt. But I know it comes down to Rand and Taviran. You won't admit that, will you? 100 reasons to stay, but the one reason to go outweighs them. The White Cloaks are in the Two Rivers, and they'll hurt people trying to find me. I can stop it if I go. Why should the White Cloaks want you enough to hurt anybody? Like, if they go asking for somebody with yellow eyes, nobody in Emmonsfield will know who they're talking about. And how can you stop anything? One more pair of hands won't do much good. Ah! The White Cloaks have bitten a mouthful of leather if they think they can push Two Rivers folk around. They know my name, Aaron said softly. His gaze swung to where his axe hung on the wall, the belt tied around the haft and the wall hook. Or maybe it was his hammer he was staring at, standing propped against the wall beneath the axe. Matt could not be sure. They can find my family. As for why,
Just right.
they have their reasons, Matt. Just as I have mine. Who can say who has the better? Burn me. Burn me. I want to go. See? I can't even say it now. Like my head knows I'll do it if I say it. I can't even get it out in my mind. Different paths. We've been sent down different paths before. Different paths be bloodied, Matt grunted. I've had all I want of Rand and Aes Sedai shoving me down their bloody paths. I want to go where I want for a change. Do what I want. He turned for the door, but Perrin's voice halted him. I hope your path is a happy one, Matt. The light send you pretty girls and fools who want to gamble. Don't burn me, Perrin. The light send you what you want too. I expect it will. He did not sound happy at the prospect. Will you tell my Di I'm all right? And my mother? She always did worry. And look after my sisters. They used to spy on me and tell Mother everything, but I wouldn't want anything to happen to them. I promise, Matt. Closing the door behind him, Matt wandered down the hallways aimlessly. His sisters. Eldrin and Bodowin had always been ready to run, shouting, Mama, Matt's in trouble again. Matt's doing what he shouldn't, Mama. Especially Bode. They would be 16 and 17 now. Probably thinking of marriage before too much longer. Already with some dull farmer picked out, whether the fellow knew it or not. Had he really been gone so long? It did not seem so, sometimes. Sometimes it felt as if he had left Emmonsfield just a week or two past. Other times it seemed years gone, only dimly remembered at all. He could remember Eldrin and Bode smirking when he had been switched, but their faces were no longer sharp. His own sisters' faces. His bloody holes in his memory, like holes in his life. He saw Verlaine coming toward him and grinned in spite of himself. For all her airs, she was a fine figure of a woman. That clinging white silk was thin enough for a handkerchief, not to mention being scooped low enough at the top to expose a considerable amount of excellent pale bosom. He swept her his best bow, elegant and formal. "A good evening to you, my lady." She started to sweep by without a glance, and he straightened angrily. "Are you deaf as well as blind, woman? I'm not a carpet to walk over, and I distinctly heard myself speak. If I pinch your bottom, you can slap my face, but until I do, I expect a civil word for a civil word." The first stopped dead, eyeing him in that way women had. She could have sewn him a shirt and told his weight, not to mention when he had his last bath, from that look. Then she turned away, murmuring something to herself. All he caught was, "Too much like me." He stared after her in amazement. Not a word to him. That face, that walk, the nose so far in the air, it was a wonder her feet touched the ground. That was what he got, speaking to the likes of Verlaine and Elaine. Nobles who thought you were dirt unless you had a palace and bloodlines backed Arthur Hawkwing. Well, he knew a plump cook's helper, just plump enough, who did not think he was dirt. Donna had a way of nibbling his ears that his thoughts stopped dead in their tracks. He had been considering seeing whether Dara was awake and up for a cuddle. He had even considered flirting with Verlaine. Verlaine. And the last words he had said to Perrin, "Look after my sisters." As if he had already decided, already knew what to do. Only he had not. He would not so easily, just sliding into it. There was a way, perhaps. Digging a gold coin from his pocket, he flipped it into the air and snatched it onto the back of his other hand. A Tarvalin mark he saw for the first time. He was staring at the flame of Tarvalin, stylized like a teardrop. "Burn all Aes Sedai," he announced loudly, "and burn Randolph Thor for getting me into this." A black and gold liveried servant stopped in mid-stride, staring at him worriedly. The man's silver tray was piled high with rolled bandages and jars of ointment. As soon as he realized Matt had seen him, he gave a jump. Matt tossed the gold mark onto the man's tray. "From the biggest fool in the world. Mind you spend it well on women and wine." "Thank you, my lord," the man stammered, as if stunned. Matt left him standing there. The biggest fool in the world. Aren't I just? Chapter 14. Customs of Mayenne. Perrin shook his head as the door closed behind Matt. Matt would as soon hit himself on the head with a hammer as go back to the Two Rivers. Not unless he must. Perrin wished there was some way he could avoid going home, too. But there was no way. It was a fact as hard as iron and less forgiving. The difference between Matt and himself was that he was willing to accept that, even when he did not want to. Easing his shirt off made him grunt, careful as he could be. A large bruise, already faded browns and yellows, stained his entire left shoulder. A Trolloc had slipped past his axe, and only Fail's quick work with a knife had kept it from being more than it was. The shoulder made washing painful, but at least there was no worry about cold water in Tyr. He was packed and ready, only a change of clothes for the morning remaining out of his saddlebags. As soon as the sun rose, he would go find Loyal. No point in bothering the Ogier tonight. He was probably already abed, where Perrin meant to be shortly. Fail was the only problem he had not figured out how to deal with. Even staying in Tyr would be better for her than going with him. The door opened, surprising him. Perfume wafted into him as soon as the door cracked. It made him think of climbing flowers on a hot summer night. A tantalizing scent, not heavy, not to anyone but him, but nothing Fail would wear. Still, he was even more surprised when Verlaine stepped into his room. Holding the edge of the door, she blinked, making him realize how dim the light must be for her. You are going somewhere? She said hesitantly. With the light of the hallway's lamps behind her, it was difficult not to stare. Yes, my lady. He bowed, not smoothly, but as well as he could. Bail could give all the sharp sniffs she wanted, but he saw no reason not to be polite. In the morning. So am I. She closed the door and crossed her arms beneath her breasts. He looked away, watching her from the corner of his eye, so she would not think he was gargling. She went on without noticing his reaction. The single candle flame was reflected in her dark eyes. After tonight. Tomorrow, I will leave by carriage for Godon, and from there take ship for Mayenne. I should have gone days ago. I thought there must be some way to work matters out. Only there wasn't, of course. I should have seen that sooner. Tonight convinced me. The way he... all that lightning flowing down the halls. I will leave tomorrow. My lady, Aaron said in confusion. Why are you telling me? The way she tossed her head reminded him of a mare he had sometimes shoed in Emmons Field. That mare would try to take a bite out of you. So you can tell the Lord Dragon, of course. That made no more sense to him. You can tell him yourself, he said, with more than a little exasperation. I've no time for carrying messages before I go. I do not think he would wish to see me. Any man would want to see her, and she was beautiful to look at. She knew both things. He thought she had started to say something else. Could she have been that frightened by what had happened that night in Rand's bedchamber? Or the attack and the way Rand had ended it? Perhaps. But this was not a woman to frighten easily. Not from the full way she was eyeing him. Give your message to a servant. I doubt I'll see Rand again. Not before I leave. Any servant will take a note to him. It would come better from you. A friend to the Lord. Give it to a servant. Or one of the Aiel. You will not do as I ask? She asked incredulously. No. Haven't you been listening to me? She tossed her head again, but there was a difference this time. Louis could not have said what. Studying him thoughtfully, she murmured half to herself. Such striking eyes. What? Suddenly he realized he was standing there naked to the waist. Her intense scrutiny abruptly seemed like the study of a horse before purchase. Next
Good
thing,
thing
she
about
would be
this
feeling
tea
his
is,
ankles and inspecting his teeth.
it's a
He
good one
snatched
I
the
could
shirt
drink at
back from
night
morning from the bed
because
and pulled it over his head.
it doesn't have
Give
any
your message
caffeine in
to a
it.
servant. I want to go to bed now. I mean to be up early, before sunrise. Where are you going tomorrow? Home. The Two Rivers. It is late. If you are leaving tomorrow too, I suppose you want to get some sleep. I know I'm tired. He yawned as widely as he could. She still made no move toward the door. You are a blacksmith. I have need of a blacksmith in Mayenne, making ornamental ironwork. A short stay before returning to the Two Rivers, you would find Mayenne entertaining. I am going home, he told her firmly, and you are going back to your own rooms. Her small shrug made him look away again hastily. Perhaps another day. I always get what I want in the end. And I think I won't. She paused, eyeing him up and down. Ornamental ironwork for the windows of my bedchamber. She smiled so innocently that he felt alarm gongs sounding his head. The door opened again, and Fail came in. Aaron, I went into the city looking for you, and I heard a rumor. She stopped, stuck still, her eyes hard and barreling. The first ignored her. Stepping close to Perrin, she ran a hand up his arm, across his shoulder. For an instant, he thought she meant to try pulling his head down for a kiss. She certainly lifted her face up as if for one. But she only trailed her hand along the side of his neck in a quick caress and stepped back.
It was over and done before he could move to stop her. Remember, she said softly, as if they were alone, I always get what I want. And she swept past Fail and out of the room. He waited for an explosion from Fail, but she glanced at his stuffed saddlebags on the bed and said, I see you've heard the rumor already. It is only a rumor, Parent. Yellow eyes make it more than that. She should have been erupting like a bundle of dry twigs tossed on a fire. Why was she so cool? Very well. Moraine is the next problem, then. Will she try to stop you?
I'll be right
Not
back.
if she doesn't know. If she tries, I will go anyway. I have family and friends for you. I won't leave them to White Cloaks. But I hope to keep it from her until I'm well out of the city. Even her eyes were calm, like dark pools in the forest. It made his hackles rise. But it had to take weeks for that rumor to reach Tyr, and it will take weeks more to ride to the Two Rivers. The White Cloaks could be gone by then. Well, I've been wanting you to leave here. I should not complain. I just want you to know what to expect. It won't take weeks by the ways, he told her. 2 days, maybe 3. 2 days. He supposed there was no means to make it faster. You are as mad as Randall Thor, she said disbelievingly. Dropping on the foot of his bed, she folded her legs crosswise and addressed him in a voice suitable for lecturing children. Go into the ways, and you come out hopelessly mad. If you come out at all, which is most likely you will not. The ways are tainted, Parent. They have been dark for, what, 300 years? 400? Ask Loyal. He could tell you. It was Ogiers built the ways, or grew them, or whatever it was. Not even they used the ways. Why, even if you managed to make it through them unscathed, the light alone knows where you would come out. I have traveled them for you. And a frightening trip it had been, too. Loyal can guide me. He can read the guideposts. That's how we went before. He will do it for me again when he knows how important it is. Loyal was eager to be away from Tier 2. He seemed to be afraid that his mother knew where he was. Perrin was sure he would help. Well, she said, rubbing her hands together briskly. Well, I wanted adventure, and this is certainly it. Leaving the Stone of Tyr and the Dragon Reborn, traveling the ways to find White Cloaks. I wonder whether we can persuade Tom Maryland to come along. If we cannot have a bard, a gleeman will do. He could compose the story, and you and I the part of it. No Dragon Reborn or Aes Sedai about to swallow up the tale. When do we leave? In the morning? He took a deep breath to steady his voice. I will be going alone for you. Just Loyal and me. We will need a pack horse, she said, as if he had not spoken. 2, I think. The ways are dark. We will need lanterns and plenty of oil. Your Two Rivers people, farmers, will they fight White Cloaks? By you, I said. I heard what you said, she snapped. Shadows gave her a dangerous look, with her tilted eyes and high cheekbones. I heard, and it makes no sense. What if these farmers won't fight, or don't know how? Who is going to teach them? You? Alone? I will do what has to be done, he said patiently. Without you. She bounced to her feet so fast he thought she was coming for his throat. Do you think Bearlane will go with you? Will she guard your back? Or perhaps you prefer her to sit on your lap and squeal? Tuck your shirt in, you hairy oaf. Does it have to be so dark in here? Bearlane likes dim light, does she?
Hey,
Much good
Ben,
she
how
will
you
do
doing,
against
bro?
the children of the light. Aaron opened his mouth to protest and changed what he had been going to say. She looks a pleasant armful, Bearlane. What man wouldn't want her on his lap? The hurt on her face banded his chest with iron, but he made himself go on. When I am done at home, I may go to Mayan. She asked me to come, and I might. Bail said not a word. She stared at him with a face like stone, and whirled and ran out, slamming the door behind her with a crash. In spite of himself, he started to follow, then stopped with his hands gripping the door frame till his fingers hurt.
Staring at the splintered gash his axe had made in the door, he found himself telling it what he could not tell her. I killed White Cloaks. They would have killed me if I hadn't. But they still call it murder. I'm going home to die, Fail. That's the only way I can stop them hurting my people. Let them hang me. I cannot let you see that. I can't. You might even try to stop it, and then they... His head dropped against the door. She would not be sorry to see the last of him now. That was what was important. She would go find her adventure somewhere else, safe from White Cloaks and Taviran, bubbles of evil. That was all that was important. He wished he did not want to howl with grief.
Fail strode through the halls at a near run, oblivious of who she passed or who had to scramble out of her way. Perrin, Verlaine, Perrin, Verlaine. He wants a milk-faced vixen who runs about half-naked, does he? He doesn't know what he wants. Hairy lummox, wooden-headed buffoon, blacksmith, and that sneaking sow Verlaine, that prancing she-goat. She did not realize where she was going until she saw Verlaine ahead of her, gliding along in that dress that left nothing to the imagination, swaying along as if that walk of hers was not deliberately calculated to make male eyes pop. Before Fail knew what she was doing, she had darted ahead of Verlaine and turned to face her where two corridors met. "Pt.5 belongs to me," she snapped. "You keep your hands and your smiles away from him." She flushed to her hairline when she heard what she had said. She had promised herself she would never do this. Never fight over a man like a farm girl rolling in the dirt at harvest. Verlaine arched a cool eyebrow. "Belongs to you? Strange. I saw no color on him. You serving girls. Or are you a farmer's daughter? You have the most peculiar ideas." "Serving girl? Serving girl? I am..." Fail bit her tongue to stop the furious words. The first of Mayenne, indeed. There were estates in Saldaea larger than Mayenne. She would not last a week in the courts of Saldaea. Could she recite poetry while hawking? Could she ride in the hunt all day, then play the cittern at night while discussing how to counter Trolloc raids? She thought she knew men, did she? Did she know the language of fans? Could she tell a man to come or go or stay, and 100 things more, all with the twist of a wrist and the placement of a lace fan? Light shine on me. What am I thinking? I swore I would never even hold the fan again. But there were other Saldaean customs. She was surprised to see the knife in her hand. She had been taught not to draw a knife unless she meant to use it. Farm girls in Saldaea have a way of dealing with women who poach others' men. If you do not swear to forget, Pt.5, I will shave your head as bald as an egg. Perhaps the boys who tend the chickens will pant after you then. She was not sure exactly how Verlaine gripped her wrist, but suddenly she was flying through the air. The floor crashing into her back drove all the air from her lungs. Verlaine stood smiling, tapping the blade of Fail's knife on her palm. A custom of Mayenne. The tyrants do like to use assassins, and the guards cannot always be close at hand. I despise being attacked, farm girl, so this is what I will do. I will take the blacksmith away from you and keep him as a pet, for as long as he amuses me. Ogier's oath on it, farm girl. He is quite ravishing, really. Those shoulders, those arms, not to mention those eyes. And if he is a bit uncultured, I can have that remedy. My courtiers can teach him how to dress and rid him of that awful thing. Wherever he goes, I will find him and make him mine. You can have him when I'm finished, if he still wants you, of course. Finally managing to draw a breath, Fail struggled to her feet, pulling a second knife. I will drag you to him after I cut off those clothes you were almost wearing, and make you tell him you are nothing but a sow. Light, help me. I am behaving like a farm girl, and talking like one. The worst part was that she meant it. Verlaine set herself warily. She meant to use her hands, obviously, not the knife. She held it like a fan. Fail advanced on the balls of her feet. Suddenly, Ruark was there between them, towering over them, snatching the knives away before either woman was really aware of him. "Have you not seen enough blood already tonight?" he said coldly. "Of all those I thought I might find breaking the peace, the two of you would be the last named." Fail gaped at him. With no warning, she pivoted, driving her fist toward Ruark's short
There's
ribs.
round
The
one done.
toughest man would feel it there.
That got gooey
He
at
seemed
the
to move without looking at her, caught her hand, forced her arm straight to her side, twisted. Abruptly, she was standing very straight and hoping he did not push her arm right up out of her shoulder. As if nothing had happened, he addressed Beryl. "You will go to your room, and you will not come out until the sun is above the horizon. I will see that no breakfast is brought to you. A little hunger will remind you that there is a time and place for fighting." Verlaine drew herself up indignantly. "I am the first of Mayenne. I will not be ordered about like you will go to your rooms." "Now," Ruark told her flatly. Fail wondered if she could kick him. She must have tensed, because as soon as she thought of it, he increased the pressure on her wrist and she was up on her tiptoes. "If you do not," he went on to Verlaine, "we will repeat our first talk together, you and I. Right here." Verlaine's face went white and red by turns. "Very well," she said stiffly. "If you insist, I will perhaps—" "I did not propose a discussion. If I can still see you when I have counted 3. 1. With a gasp, Verlaine hiked her skirts and ran. She even managed to sway doing that. Fail stared after her in amazement. It was almost worth having her arm nearly disjointed. Ruark was watching Verlaine go, too, a small, appreciative smile on his lips. "Do you mean to hold me all night?" she demanded. He released her and tucked her knives into his belt. "Those are mine." "Forfeit," he said. Verlaine's punishment for fighting was to have you see her sent to bed like a willful child. Yours is to lose these knives you prize. I know you have others. If you argue, I might take those, too. I will not have the peace broken." She glared at him, but she suspected he meant just what he said. Those knives had been made for her by a man who knew what he was doing. The balance was just right. "What first talk did you have with her? Why did she run like that?" "That is between her and me. You will not go near her again, Faye. I do not believe she started this. That one's weapons are not knives. If either of you makes trouble again, I will put both of you to carrying offal." Some of the tyrants thought they could keep on fighting their duels after I had declared peace on this place, but the smell of the refuse carts soon taught them their mistake. Be sure you do not have to learn it the same way. She waited until he had gone before nursing her shoulder. He reminded her of her father. Not that her father had ever twisted her arm, but he had small patience with those who made trouble, whatever their position, and no one ever caught him by surprise. She wondered if she could bait Verlaine into something, just to see the first of Mayenne sweating among the refuse carts. But Ruark had said both of them. Her father meant what he said, too. Verlaine. Something Verlaine had said was tickling the back of her mind. Ogier's oath. That was it. An Ogier never broke an oath. To say Ogier Oathbreaker was like saying brave coward or wise fool. She could not help laughing aloud. "You will take him from me, you silly peahen. By the time you see him again, if you ever do, he'll be mine once more." Chuckling to herself and occasionally rubbing her shoulder, she walked on with a light heart.
Chapter 15. Into the doorway. Holding the glass-mantled lamp high, Matt peered down the narrow corridor, deep in the belly of the stone. "Not unless my life depended on it. That's what I promised. They'll burn me if it doesn't." Before doubt could seize him again, he hurried on, past doors dry-rotted and hanging aslant, past others only shreds of wood clinging to rusted hinges. The floor had been swept recently, but the air still smelled of old dust and mold. Something skittered in the darkness. and he had a knife out before he realized it was just a rat, running from him, no doubt running towards some escape hole it knew. "Show me the way out," he whispered after it, "and I'll come with you." Why am I whispering? There's nobody down here to hear me. It seemed a place for quiet, though. He could feel the whole weight of the stone over his head pressing down. The last door, she had said. That one hung askew, too. He kicked it open, and it fell apart. The room was littered with dim shapes, with crates and barrels and things stacked high against the walls and down into the floor. Dust, too. A great hole. It looks like the basement of an abandoned farmhouse, only worse. He was surprised that Egwene and Nynaeve had not dusted and tidied while they were down here. Women were always dusting and straightening, even things that did not need it. Footprints crisscrossed the floor, some of them from boots, but no doubt they had had men to shift the heavier items about for them. Nynaeve liked finding ways to make a man work. Likely she had deliberately hunted out some fellows enjoying themselves. What he sought stood out among the jumble. A tall, red stone door frame, looming oddly in the shadows cast by his lamp. When he came closer, it still looked odd. Twisted somehow. His eye did not want to follow it around. The corners did not join right. The tall, hollow rectangle seemed likely to fall over at a breath. But when he gave it an experimental push, it stood steady. He pushed a bit harder, not sure he did not want to heave the thing over. That side of it scraped through the dust. Goosebumps ran down his arm. There might as well have been a wire fastened to the top, suspending it from the ceiling. He held the lamp up to see. There was no wire. At least it won't topple while I'm inside. Right, I am going inside, aren't I? A clutter of figurines and small things wrapped in rotting cloth occupied the top of a tall, upended barrel near him. He pushed the jumble to one side so he could set the lamp there and study the doorway. The Tir-on-Grial. If Egwene knew what she was talking about. She probably did. No doubt she had learned all sorts of strange things in the tower, however much she denied. She would deny things, wouldn't she now? Learning to be Aes Sedai. She didn't deny this, though, now did she? If he squinted, it just looked like a stone doorframe, dully polished, and the duller for dust. Just a plain doorframe. Well, not entirely plain. 3 sinuous lines carved deep in the stone ran down each upright from top to bottom. He had seen fancier on farmhouses. He would probably step through and find himself still in this dusty room. Won't know till I try, will I? Luck.
That's all done.
Taking a deep breath, coughing from the dust, he put his foot through. He seemed to be stepping through a sheet of brilliant white light, infinitely bright, infinitely thick. For a moment that lasted forever, he was blind. A roaring filled his ears, all the sounds of the world gathered together at once. For just the length of one measureless step. Stumbling another pace, he stared around in amazement. The Tir-on-Grial was still there, but this was certainly not where he had started. The twisting stone doorframe stood in the center of a round hall, with a ceiling so high it was lost in the shadows, surrounded by strange, spiraled yellow columns snaking up into the gloom, like huge vines, twining around poles that had been taken away. A soft light came from glowing spheres atop coiled stands of some white metal. Not silver. The shine was too dull for that. And no hint of what made the glow. It did not look like flame. The spheres simply shone. The floor tiles spiraled out in white and yellow stripes from the Tir-on-Grial. There was a heavy scent in the air, sharp and dry and not particularly pleasant. He almost turned around and went back on the spot. A long time. He jumped, a knife coming into his hand, and peered among the columns for the source of the breathy voice that pronounced those words so harshly. A long time. If the seekers come again for answers, the questioners come once more.
A shape moved back among the columns. A man, Matt thought. Good. You have brought no lamps, no torches, as the agreement was, and is, and ever will be. You have no iron, no instruments of music. The figure stepped out, tall, barefoot, arms and legs and body wound about in layers of yellow cloth. And Matt was suddenly not sure if it was a man or human. It looked human at first glance, though perhaps too graceful, but it seemed far too thin for its height, with a narrow, elongated face. Its skin, and even its straight black hair, caught the pale light in a way that reminded him of a snake's scales. And those eyes, the pupils just black vertical slits. No, not human. Instruments of music. You have none? Matt wondered what it thought the knife was. It certainly did not seem concerned over it. Well, the blade was good steel, not iron. No iron, and no instruments of... Why? He cut off sharply. 3 questions, Egwene had said. He was not about to waste one on iron or instruments of music. Why should he care if I have a dozen musicians in my pocket and a smithy on my back? I have come here for true answers. If you are not the one to give them, take me to who can. The man, it was male at least, Matt decided, smiled slightly. He did not show any teeth. According to the agreement. Come. He beckoned with one long-fingered hand. Follow. Matt made the knife disappear up his sleeve. Lead and I will follow. Just you keep ahead of me in plain sight. This place makes my skin crawl. There was not a straight line to be seen anywhere except for the floor itself as he trailed the strange man. Even the ceiling was always arched and the walls bowed out. The halls were continuously curved, the doorways rounded, the windows perfect circles. Tile work made spirals and sinuous lines, and what seemed to be bronze metalwork set in the ceiling at intervals was all complicated scrolls. There were no pictures of anything, no wall hangings or paintings, only patterns and always curves. He saw no one except his silent guide. He could have believed the place empty except for the 2 of them. From somewhere, he had a dim memory of walking halls that had not known a human foot in hundreds of years, and this felt the same. Yet sometimes he caught a flicker of motion out of the corner of his eye. Only, however quickly he turned, there was never anyone there. He pretended to rub his forearms, checking the knives of his coat sleeves for reassurance. What he saw through those round windows was even worse. Tall, wispy trees with only a drooping umbrella of branches at the top, and others like huge fans of lacy leaves.
All right.
A tangle
You
of
want to make
growth equal
sure.
to the heart of any briar-choked thicket. All under a dim, overcast light, but there did not seem to be a cloud in the sky. There were always windows, always along just one side of the curving corridor. Sometimes the side changed, and what surely should have been looking into courtyard or rooms, instead gave out into that forest. He never caught as much as a glimpse of any other part of this palace, or whatever it was, through those windows, or any other building, except... Through one circular window, he saw 3 tall silvery spires curving in toward each other, so their points all aimed at the same spot. They were not visible from the next window, 3 paces away. But a few minutes later, after he and his guide had rounded enough curves that he had to be looking in another direction, he saw them again. He tried telling himself these were 3 different spires, but between them and him was one of those fan-shaped trees with a dangling broken branch. A tree that had been in the same spot the first time. After his 3rd sight of the spires and the strange tree with the broken branch, this time 10 paces farther on, but on the other side of the hallway, he tried to stop looking at what lay outside it all. The walk seemed interminable. When are... Matt ground his teeth. 3 questions. It was hard to learn anything without asking questions. I hope you are taking me to those who can answer my questions. Burn my bones, I do. For my sake and yours, the light knoweth true. Here, the peculiar yellow-wrapped fellow said, gesturing with one of those thin hands to a rounded doorway twice as large as any Matt had seen before. His strange eyes studied Matt intently. His mouth gaped open, and he inhaled long and slow. Matt frowned at him, and the stranger gave a writhing hitch of his shoulders. Here your answers may be found. Enter. Enter and
I'll be
ask.
right back.
Matt drew a deep breath of his own, then grimaced and scrubbed his
That's the only
mouth.
drawback about drinking
That
tea.
sharp, heavy
back and
smell
forth.
was a rank nuisance. He took a hesitant step toward the tall doorway and looked around for his guide again. The fellow was gone. Light. I don't know why anything in this place surprises me now. Well, I will be burned if I'll turn back now. Trying not to think of whether he could find the Tirangrial again on his own, he went in. It was another round room with spiraling floor tiles in red and white under a domed ceiling. It had no columns or furnishings of any kind, except for 3 thick, coiled pedestals around the heart of the floor's spirals. Matt could see no way to reach the top of them except by climbing the twists. Yet a man like his guide sat cross-legged atop each, only wrapped in layers of red. Not all men, he decided at a second look. 2 of those long faces with the odd eyes had a definite feminine cast. They stared at him, intense, penetrating stares, and breathed deeply, almost panting. He wondered if he had made them nervous in some way. Not much bloody chance of that. But they're certainly getting under my coat. It has been long, the woman on the right said. Very long, the woman on the left added. The man nodded. Yet they come again. All 3 had the breathy voice of the guide, almost indistinguishable from it, in fact, and the harsh way of pronouncing words. They spoke in unison, and the words might as well have come from one mouth. Enter and ask, according to the agreement of old. If Matt had thought his skin crawled before, now he was sure it was writhing. He made himself go closer. Carefully, careful to say nothing that even sounded like a question, he laid the situation before them. The White Cloaks, certainly in his home village, surely hunting friends of his, maybe hunting him. One of his friends going to face the White Cloaks, another not. His family, not likely in danger, but with the bloody children of the bloody light around. A Taviran pulling at him so he could hardly move. He saw no reason to give names or mention that Rand was the Dragon Reborn. His first question, and the other 2 for that matter, he had worked out before going down to the Great Hold. Should I go home to help my people? He asked finally. 3 sets of slitted eyes lifted from him, reluctantly it seemed, and studied the air above his head. Finally, the woman on the left said, You must go to Rudian. As soon as she spoke, their eyes all dropped to him again, and they leaned forward, breathing deeply again. But at that moment, a bell tolled, a sonorous, brazen sound that rolled through the room. They swayed upright, staring at one another, then at the air over Matt's head again. Here's another, the woman on the left whispered. The strain, the strain, the saber, the man said. It has been long. There is yet time, the other woman told them. She sounded calm, they all did, but there was a sharpness to her voice when she turned back to Matt. Ask, ask. Matt glared up at them furiously. Rudia, light. I was somewhere out in the waste. The light and the Aiel knew where. That was about as much as he knew. In the waste. Anger drove questions about how to get away from Aes Sedai and how to recover the lost parts of his memory right out of his head. Rudian, he barked. The light burned my bones to ash if I want to go to Rudian. And my blood in the ground if I will. Why should I? You are not answering my questions. You are supposed to answer, not hand me riddles. If you do not go to Rudian, the woman on the right said, you will die. The bell tolled again, louder this time.
Matt felt its tremor through his boots. The looks the three shared were plainly anxious. He opened his mouth, but they were only concerned with each other. "The strain," one of the women said hurriedly. "It is too great. The savor of him," the other woman said on her heels. "It has been so very long." Before she was done, the man spoke. "The strain is too great. Too great. Ask. Ask." "Burn your soul for a craven heart," Matt growled. "I will that. Why will I die if I do not go to Rudian? I very likely will die if I try. It makes no..." The man cut him off and spoke hurriedly. "You will have sidestepped the thread of fate. Let your fate to drift on the winds of time. And you will be killed by those who do not want that fate fulfilled. Now go. You must go. Quickly." The elk-clad guide was suddenly there at Matt's side, tugging at his sleeve with those two long hands. Matt shook him off. "No, I will not go. You have led me from the questions I wanted to ask and given me senseless answers. You will not leave it there." "What fate are you talking about?" "I will have one clear answer out of you at least." A third time the bell sounded mournfully, and the entire room trembled. "Go," the man shouted. "You have had your answers. You must go before it is too late." Abruptly, a dozen of the yellow-clad men were around Matt, seeming to appear out of the air, trying to pull him toward the door. He fought with fists, elbows, knees. "What fate? Burn your heart! What fate?" It was the room itself that pealed, the walls and floor quivering, nearly taking Matt and his attackers off their feet. "What fate?" The three were on their feet atop the pedestals, and he could not tell which shrieked which answer. "To marry the daughter of the 9 moons, to die and live again, and live once more a part of what was. To give up half the light of the world to save the world." Together they howled like steam escaping under pressure. "Go to Rudian, son of battles! Go to Rudian, trickster! Go, gambler! Go!" Matt's assailants snatched him into the air by his arms and legs and ran, holding him over their heads. "Unhand me, you white-livered sons of goats!" he shouted, struggling. "Burn your eyes! The shadow take your souls! Loose me! I'll have your guts for a saddle girth!" But writhe and curse as he would, those long fingers gripped like iron. Twice more the bell tolled, or the palace did. Everything shook as in an earthquake. The walls rang with deafening reverberations, each louder than the last. Matt's captors stumbled on, nearly falling, but never stopping their pell-mell race. He did not even see where they were taking him until they suddenly stopped short, heaving him into the air. Then he saw the twisted doorway, the Tirangrial, as he flew toward it. White light blinded him. The roar filled his head till it drove thought away. He fell heavily onto a dusty floor in dim light and rolled up against the barrel holding his lamp in the great hole. The barrel rocked, packets and figurines toppling to the floor in a crash of breaking stone and ivory and porcelain. Bounding to his feet, he threw himself back at the stone doorframe. "Burn you! You can't throw me!" He hurtled through and stumbled against the crates and barrels on the other side. Without a pause, he turned and leaped at it again, with the same result. This time he caught himself on the barrel holding his lamp, which nearly fell onto the already shattered things littering the floor under his boots. He grabbed it in time, burning his hand, and fumbled it back to a steadier perch. "Burn me if I want to be down here in the dark," he thought, sucking his fingers. "Like the way my luck is running, it probably would have started a fire and I would have burned to death." He glared at the Tirangrial. Why was it not working? Maybe the folk on the other side had shut it off somehow. He understood practically nothing of what had happened. That bell and their panic. You would have thought they were afraid the roof would come down on their heads. Come to think of it, it very nearly had. And Rudian, and all the rest of it. The waste was bad enough, but they said he was fated to marry somebody called the daughter of the 9 moons. Marry? And to a nobleman, by the sound of it. He would sooner marry a pig than a noblewoman. And that business about dying and living again. Nice of them to add the last bit. If some black-veiled Aielman killed him on the way to Rudian, he would find out how true it was. It was all nonsense, and he did not believe a word of it. Only The bloody doorway had taken him somewhere, and they had only wanted to answer 3 questions, just the way Egwene had said. I won't marry any bloody noblewoman, he told the Tirangriel. I'll marry when I'm too old to have any fun, that's what. Rudy on my bloody... A boot appeared, backing out of the twisted stone doorway, followed by the rest of Rand, with that fiery sword in his hands. The blade vanished as he stepped clear, and he heaved a sigh of relief. Even in the dim light, Matt could see he was troubled, though. He gave a start when he saw Matt. Just poking around, Matt? Or did you go through too? Matt eyed him warily for a moment. At least that sword was gone. He did not seem to be channeling, though how was anybody to tell? And he did not look particularly like a madman. In fact, he looked very much as Matt remembered. He had to remind himself they were not back home any longer, and Rand was not what he remembered. Oh, I went through all right. A bunch of bloody liars, if you ask me. What are they? Made me think of snakes. Not liars, I think. Rand sounded as if he wished they were. No, not that. They were afraid of me right from the first. And when that tolling started, the sword kept them back. They wouldn't even look at it. Shied away. Hid their eyes. Did you get your answers? Nothing that makes sense, Matt muttered. What about you? Suddenly, Moraine appeared from the Tirangriel, seeming to step gracefully out of thin air, flowing out. She would be a fine one to dance with if she were not Aes Sedai. Her mouth tightened at the sight of them. You were both in there? That is why. She made a vexed hiss. One of you would have been bad enough, but 2 Ta'veren at once? You might have torn the connection entirely and been trapped there. Wretched boys playing with things you do not know the danger of. Perrin, is Perrin in there too? Did he share your exploit? The last I saw of Perrin, Matt said, he was getting ready to go to bed. Maybe Perrin would give him the lie by being the next to step out of the thing, but he might as well deflect the Aes Sedai's anger if he could. No need for Perrin to face it too. Maybe he'll make it clear of her, at least, if he gets away before she knows what he's doing. Bloody woman. I'll wager she was noble-born. That Moraine was angry, there was no doubt. The blood had drained out of her cheeks, and her eyes were dark augers boring into Rand. At least you escaped with your lives. Who told you this? Which one of them? I will make her wish I had peeled off her hide like a glove. A book, Rand said calmly. He sat down back on the edge of a crate that creaked alarmingly under his weight and crossed his arms. All very cool. Matt wished he could emulate it. A pair of books, in fact. Treasures of the Stone and Dealings with the Territory of Mayenne. Surprising what you can dig out of books if you read long enough, isn't it? And you? She shifted that grilling gaze to Matt. Did you read it in a book too? You? I do read sometimes, he said dryly. He would not have been averse to a little hide-peeling for Egwene and Nynaeve after what they had done to make him tell where he had hidden Yamalin's letter.
I just have it covered for right now.
The rest. Yet it was more fun to tweak Moraine's nose. Treasures, dealings, lots of things in books. Luckily, she did not insist that he repeat the titles. He had not paid attention once Rand brought up books. Instead, she swung back to Rand. And your answers? Are mine, Rand replied, then frowned. It wasn't easy, though. They brought a woman to interpret, but she talked like an old book. I could hardly understand some of the words. I never considered they might speak another language. The old tongue, Moraine told him. They use the old tongue, a rather harsh dialect of it, for their dealings with men. And you, Matt, was your interpreter easily understood? He had to work moisture back into his mouth. The old tongue? Is that what it was? They didn't give me one. In fact, I never got to ask any questions. That bell started shaking the walls down and they hustled me out like I was tracking cow manure on the rugs. She was still staring, her eyes still digging into his head. She knew about the old tongue slipping out of him sometimes. I almost understood a word here and there, but not to know it. You and Rand got answers. What do they get out of it? The snakes with legs. We aren't going upstairs to find 10 years gone, are we? Like Billy in the story? Sensations, Maureen replied with a grimace. Sensations, emotions, experiences. They rummage through them. You can feel them doing it, making your skin crawl. Perhaps they feed on them in some manner. The Aes Sedai who studied this Tirangriel when it was in Mayenne would have a strong desire to bathe afterward. I certainly intend to. But their answers are true, Rand said as she started to turn away. You are sure of it? The books implied as much. But can they really give true answers about the future? The answers are true, Maureen said slowly. So long as they are in regard to your own future. That much is certain. She watched Rand and himself, weighing the effect of her words. As to how, though, there is only speculation. That world is folded in strange ways. I cannot be clearer. It may be that allows them to read the thread of a human life, read the various ways it may yet be woven into the pattern. Or perhaps it is a talent of the people. The answers are often obscure, however. If you need help working out what yours mean, I offer my services. Her eyes flickered from one of them to the other, and Matt nearly swore. She did not believe him about no answers, unless it was simply generalized suspicion. Rand gave her a slow smile. And you will tell me what you asked, and what they answered? For answer, she returned a level, searching look, then started for the door. A small ball of light, as bright as a lantern, was suddenly floating ahead of her, illuminating her way. Matt knew he should leave it alone now. Just let her go, and hope she forgot he'd ever been down here. But a knot of anger still burned inside him. All those ridiculous things they had said. Well, maybe they were true. Maureen said so. But he wanted to grab those fellows by the collar, or whatever passed for a collar in those wrappings, and make them explain a few things. Why can't we go there twice, Maureen? He called after her. Why not? He very nearly asked why they worried about iron and musical instruments too, and bit his tongue. He could not know about those if he had not understood what they were saying. She paused at the door to the hall, and it was impossible to see if she was looking at the Tirangriel or at Rand. If I knew everything, Matron, I would not need to ask questions. She peered into the room a moment longer. She was staring at him, then glided away without another word. For a time, Matt
Give me
and Rand
1
listened to
second,
each
I
other in
have the
silence.
camera back on.
Did you find out what you wanted? Rand asked finally. Did you? A bright flame leaped into existence, balanced above Rand's palm. Not the smooth, glowing sphere of the Aes Sedai, but a rough blaze like a torch. As Rand moved to leave, Rand added another question. Are you really going to just let the White Cloaks do whatever they want back home? You know they're heading for Emond's Field, if they are not there already. Yellow Eyes, the bloody dragon reborn. It's too much otherwise. Aaron will do what he has to do to save Emond's Field, Rand replied in a pained voice. And I must do what I have to. Or more than Emond's Field will fall, and to worse than White Cloaks. Matt stood watching the light of that flame fade away down the hall until he remembered where he was. Then he snatched up his lamp and hurried out. Rodion, light. What am I going to do? Chapter 16. Leave takings. Lying on sweat-soaked sheets, staring at the ceiling, Baron realized that the darkness was turning to gray. Soon the sun would be edging above the horizon. Morning. Time for new hopes. Time to be up and doing. New hopes. He almost laughed. How long had he been awake? An hour or more, surely, this time. Scratching his curly beard, he winced. His bruised shoulder had stiffened, and he sat up slowly. Sweat popped out on his face as he worked the arm. He kept at it methodically, though, suppressing groans, now and again biting back a curse, until he could move the arm freely, if not comfortably. Such sleep as he had managed had been broken and fitful. When he was awake, he had seen Fail's face, her dark eyes accusing him, the hurt he had put there making him cringe inside. When he slept, he dreamed of mounting a gallows, and Fail watching, or worse, trying to stop it, trying to fight white cloaks with their lances and swords. And he was screaming while they fitted the noose around his neck, screaming because the white cloaks were killing Fail. Sometimes she watched them hanging with a smile of angry satisfaction. Small wonder such dreams wakened him with a jerk. Once he had dreamed of wolves running out of the forest to save both Fail and him, only to be spitted on white cloak lances, shot down by their arrows. It had not been a restful night. Washing and dressing as hurriedly as he could, he left the room as if hoping to leave memories of his dreams behind. Little outward evidence remained of the night's attack. Here a sword-slashed tapestry, there a chest with a corner splintered by an axe, or a lighter patch on the stone-tiled floor where a blood-stained rug had been removed. The Majira had her liveried army of servants out in force, though many wore bandages, sweeping, mopping, clearing away and replacing. She limped about, leaning on a stick. A broad woman with her gray hair pushed up like a round cap by the dressing wound around her head, calling her orders in a firm voice, with the clear intention of removing every sign of the stone's second violation. She saw Baron and gave him an infinitesimal curtsy. Even the High Lords did not get much more from her, even when she was well. Despite all the cleaning and scrubbing, under the smell of waxes and polishes and cleaning fluids, Baron could still catch the faint scent of blood, sharply metallic human blood, fetid Trolloc blood, acrid Murdral blood, with its stink that burned his nostrils. He would be glad to be away from here. The door to Loyal's room was a span across and more than 2 spans high, with an overlarge door handle in the shape of entwined vines, level with Perrin's head. The stone had a number of rarely used Ogier guest rooms. The stone of Tyr predated even the age of great Ogier stoneworks, but it was a point of prestige to use Ogier stonemasons, at least from time to time. Perrin knocked, and at the call of "Come in a voice like a slow avalanche, lifted the handle and complied. The room was on a scale with the door in every dimension, yet Loyal, standing in the middle of the leaf-patterned carpet in his shirt sleeves, a long pipe in his teeth, reduced it all to seemingly normal size. The Ogier stood taller than a Trolloc in his wide-toed, thigh-high boots, if not so broad as one. His dark green coat, buttoned to the waist and flaring to his boot tops like a kilt over baggy trousers, no longer looked odd to Perrin. But one look was enough to tell him this was not an ordinary man in an ordinary room. The Ogier's nose was so broad as to seem a snout, and eyebrows like long mustaches dangled beside eyes the size of teacups. Tufted ears poked up through shaggy black hair that hung nearly to his shoulders. When he grinned around his pipe stem at the sight of Perrin, it split his face in half.
"Good morning, Perrin,"
he rumbled, removing the pipe.
"You slept well? Not easy after such a night as that. Myself, I have been up half the night writing down what happened."
He had a pen in his other hand and ink stains on his sausage-thick fingers. Books lay everywhere, on Ogier-sized chairs, and the huge bed, and a table that stood as high as Perrin's chest. That was no surprise. But what was a little startling was the flowers. Flowers of every sort and every color. Vases of flowers, baskets of them, posies tied with ribbon or even string, great woven banks of flowers standing about like lengths of garden wall. Perrin had certainly never seen the like inside a room. Their scent filled the air. Yet what really caught his eye was the swollen knot on Loyal's head, the size of a man's fist, and the heavy limp in Loyal's head. If Loyal had been hurt too badly to travel, he felt ashamed of thinking of it that way. The Ogier was a friend, but he had to. "You were injured, Loyal? Moraine could heal you." I'm sure she will.
Oh, I can get around with no trouble. And there are so many who truly needed her help. I would not want to bother her. It certainly is not enough to hamper me in my work.
Loyal glanced at the table where a large cloth-bound book, large for Perrin, but it would fit in one of the Ogier's coat pockets, lay open beside an uncorked ink bottle.
I hope I have it all done correctly. I did not see very much last night until it was done.
Loyal, Bayil said, standing up from behind one of the banks of flowers with a book in her hands, is a hero. Perrin jumped. The flowers had masked her scent completely. Loyal made shushing noises, his ears twitching with embarrassment, and waved his big hands at her, but she went on, her voice cool but her eyes hot on Perrin's face. He gathered as many children as he could, and some of their mothers, into a large room, and held the door alone against Trollocs and Myrtle through the entire fight. These flowers are from the women of the stone,
Do a couple
tokens to honor
dabs.
his steadfast courage, his faithfulness. She made steadfast and faithfulness crack like whips. Perrin managed not to flinch, but only just. What he had done was right, but he could not expect her to see it. Even if she knew why, she would not see it. It was the right thing. It was. He only wished he felt better about the entire matter. It was hardly fair that he could be right and still feel in the wrong.
It was nothing.
Loyal's ears twitched wildly.
It is just that the children could not defend themselves. That's all. Not a hero. No.
Nonsense. Bayil marked her place in the book with a finger and moved closer to the Ogier. She did not come up to his chest. There is not a woman in the stone who would not marry you if you were human, and some would anyway. Loyal, well named, for your nature is loyalty. Any woman could love that. The Ogier's ears went stiff with shock, and Perrin grinned. She had obviously been feeding Loyal honey and butter all morning and hoped the Ogier would agree to take her along, no matter what Perrin wanted. But in trying to prick him, she had just fed Loyal a stone without knowing it. Have you heard from your mother, Loyal? He asked.
No.
Loyal managed to sound relieved and worried at the same time.
But I saw Leifar in the city yesterday. He was as surprised to see me as I to see him. We are not a common sight in Tyr. He came from studying Shanghai to negotiate repairs on some Ogier stonework in one of the palaces. I have no doubt the first words out of his mouth when he returns to the steading will be, "Loyal is in Tyr."
That is worrying, Perrin said, and Loyal nodded dejectedly.
Leifar says the elders have named me a runaway, and my mother has promised to have me married and settled. She even has someone chosen. Leifar did not know who. At least, he said he did not. He thinks such things are funny. She could be here in a month's time.
Bayil's face was a picture of confusion that almost made Perrin grin again. She thought she knew so much more than he did about the world. Well, she did, in truth. But she did not know Loyal. Steading Shanghai was Loyal's home, in the spine of the world, and since he was barely past 90, he was not old enough to have left on his own. Ogier lived a very long time. By their standards, Loyal was no older than Perrin, maybe younger. But Loyal had gone anyway, to see the world, and his greatest fear was that his mother would find him and drag him back to the steading to marry, never to leave again. While Bayil was trying to figure out what was going on, Perrin stepped into the silence. I need to go back to the Two Rivers, Loyal. Your mother won't find you there.
Yes, that is true.
The Ogier gave an uncomfortable shrug.
But my book, Rand's story, and yours on maths. I have so many notes already, but
He moved around behind the table, peering down at the open book, the pages filled with his neat script.
I will be the one who writes the true story of the Dragon Reborn. The only book by someone who traveled with him, who actually saw it unfold. The Dragon Reborn, by Loyal, son of Galen of Steading Shanghai.
Frowning, he bent over the book, dipping his pen in the ink bottle.
That is not quite right. It was more.
Perrin put a hand on the page where Loyal was going to write. You'll write no book if your mother finds you. Not about Rand, at least. And I need you, Loyal.
Me, Perrin? I do not understand.
There are white cloaks in the Two Rivers, hunting me.
Hunting you? But why?
Loyal looked almost as confused as Fail had. Fail, on the other hand, had donned a complacent smugness that was worrisome. Perrin went on anyway. The reasons don't matter. The fact is that they are. They may hurt people, my family, looking for me. Knowing white cloaks, they will. I can stop it if I can get there quickly. But it must be quickly. The light only knows what they've done already. I need you to take me there, Loyal. By the ways.
Hey, High Life, how you
told me
doing?
once there was a waygate here, and I know there was one at Manethran. It must still be there in the mountains above Emmons Field. Nothing can destroy a waygate, you said. I need you.
Yes, of course I will.
He exhaled noisily, and his ears wilted a bit.
I want to write adventures, not have them. I suppose one more time will not hurt. A light-scented soul.
He finished fervently. Fail cleared her throat delicately. Are you not forgetting something, Loyal? You promised to take me into the ways whenever I asked, and before you took anyone else.
I did promise you a look at a waygate, Loyal said, and what it is like inside. You can have that when Perrin and I go. You could come with us, I suppose, but the ways are not traveled lightly by you. I would not enter them myself if Perrin did not have need.
Fail will not be coming, Perrin said firmly. Just you and me, Loyal. Ignoring him, Fail smiled up at Loyal, as if he were teasing her. You promised more than a look, Loyal. To take me wherever I wanted, whenever I wanted, and before anyone else. You swore to it.
I did,
Loyal protested.
but only because you refused to believe I would show you. You said you would not believe unless I swore. I will do as I promised, but surely you do not want to step ahead of Perrin's need.
You swore, Fail said calmly, by your mother, and your mother's mother, and your mother's mother's mother.
Yes, I did, Fail, but Perrin...
You swore, Loyal. Do you mean to break your oath?
Oh, yeah.
The Ogier looked like misery stacked on misery.
Yeah, that one's actually dead. I gotta
the corners of his wide
hit
mouth
this one.
turned down, and the ends of his long eyebrows draggled onto his cheeks. She tricked you, Loyal. Perrin wondered if they could hear his teeth grinding. She deliberately tricked you. Red stained Fail's cheeks, but she still had the nerve to say, only because I had to, Loyal. Only because a fool man thinks he can order my life to suit himself. I'd not have done it otherwise. You must believe that. Doesn't it make any difference that she tricked you? Perrin demanded, and Loyal shook his massive head sadly. Ogier keep their word, Fail said, and Loyal is going to take me to the Two Rivers. Or to the waygate at Manethran, at least. I have a wish to see the Two Rivers. Loyal stood up straight.
But that means I can help Perrin after all. Fail, why did you drag this out? Even Mayfar would not think this funny.
There was a touch of anger in his voice. It took a good bit to make an Ogier angry. If he asks, she said determinedly. That was part of it, Loyal. No one but you and me, unless they ask me. He has to ask me. No, Perrin told her, while Loyal was still opening his mouth. No, I won't ask. I will ride to Emmons Field first. I'll walk. So you might as well give up this foolishness. Tricking Loyal. Trying to force yourself in where you aren't wanted. Her calm dropped away in anger. And by the time you reach there, Loyal and I will have done for the White Cloaks. It will all be over. Ask, you anvil-headed blacksmith.
Just ask and you can come with us. Perrin took hold of himself. There was no way to argue her around to his way of thinking, but he would not ask. She was right. He would need weeks to reach the two rivers on his horse. They could be there in 2 days, perhaps, through the ways. But he would not ask. Not after she tricked Loyal and tried to bully me. Then I'll travel the ways to Manetheren alone.
I'm not doing too
I'll
bad.
follow you two. If I stay far enough back,
Right,
not to be part of your
ammo-headed.
party, I won't be breaking Loyal's
Guess she's calling him a
You
hard-headed.
can't stop me.
But we haven't been doing too bad high
It's
life.
dangerous, Perrin.
Loyal said worriedly.
The ways are dark. If you miss a turning or take the wrong bridge by accident, you could be lost forever. Or until Machin Shin catches you. Ask her, Perrin. She said you can come if you do. Ask her.
The Ogier's deep voice trembled, speaking the name of Machin Shin. And a shiver ran down Perrin's back, too. Machin Shin. The Black Wind. Neither an Aes Sedai knew whether it was shadow spawn or something that had grown out of the Machin Shin was why traveling the ways meant risking death. That was what Aes Sedai said. The Black Wind eats souls. That Perrin knew for truth. But he kept his voice steady and his face straight. I'll be burned if I let her think I'm weakening. I can't, Loyal. Or anyway, I won't. Loyal grimaced.
Bahil, it will be dangerous for him trying to follow us. Please relent and let him.
She cut him off sharply. No. If he is too stiff-necked to ask, why should I? Why should I even care if he does get lost? She turned to Perrin. You can travel close to us, as close as you need to, so long as it's plain you are following. You will trail after me like a puppy until you ask. Why won't you just ask?
Stubborn humans, the Ogier muttered. Hasty and stubborn. Even when haste lands you in a hornet nest.
I would like to leave today, Loyal, Perrin said, not looking at Fayu.
Best to go quickly.
Loyal agreed with a regretful look at the book on the table.
I can tidy my notes on the journey, I suppose. The light knows what I will miss being away from Rand.
Did you hear me, Perrin? Fayu demanded.
I'll be right back.
I will get my horse and a few supplies, Loyal. We can be on our way by mid-morning. Burn you, Perrin. Loyal eyed her worriedly.
Perrin, are you certain you could not?
No, Perrin interrupted gently. She is mule-headed, and she likes playing tricks. I won't dance so she can laugh. He ignored the sound coming from deep in Fayil's throat, like a cat staring at a strange dog and ready to attack. I will let you know as soon as I am ready. He started for the door, and she called after him furiously. When is my decision, Perrin Bara? Mine and Loyal's. Do you hear me? You had better be ready in 2 hours or we'll leave you behind. You can meet us at the Dragonwall Gate stable, if you're coming. Do you hear me? He sensed her moving and shut the door behind him just as something thumped into it heavily. A book, he thought. Loyal would give her fits about that. Better to hit Loyal on the head than harm one of his books. For a moment he leaned against the door, despairing. All he had done, all he had gone through, making her hate him, and she was going to be there to see him die anyway. The best thing he could say was that she might enjoy it now. Stubborn, mule-headed woman. When he turned to go,
That's funny. They
one of
both
the
think each
ideals
other's
approaching.
stubborn.
Tall
Match
man
for
with
each
reddish
other.
hair and green eyes that could have been Rand's older cousin. He knew the man and liked him. If given even a flicker of notice to his yellow eyes. May you find shade. The Majira told me you had come this way. Itching to put a broom in my hands. As hard as a wise one, that woman. May you find shade this morning, Gaul. Women are all hard-headed, if you ask me. Perhaps so. I do not know how to get round them. I hear you are journeying to the two rivers. Light, Perrin growled before the Aiel could say more. Does the whole stone know? Moraine knew. Gaul shook his head. Rand Althor took me aside and spoke to me, asking me to tell no one. I think he spoke to others too, but I do not know how many will want to go with you. We have been on this side of the Dragon Wall for a long time, and many ache for the threefold land. Come with me. Baron felt stunned. If he had Aiel with him, there were possibilities he had not dared consider before. Rand asked you to come with me to the Two Rivers? Gaul shook his head again. He only said that you were going, that there were men trying to kill you. I will accompany you, though, if you will have me. Will I? Baron almost laughed. I will that. We'll be in the ways in a few hours. The ways? Gaul's expression did not change, but he blinked. Does that make a difference? Death comes for all men, Baron. It was hardly a comforting answer.
I cannot believe Rand is that cruel, Egwene said, and Nynaeve added, at least he did not try to stop you. Seated on Nynaeve's bed, they were finishing the division of the gold Moiraine had provided. 4 fat purses apiece to be carried in pockets sewn under Nynaeve's skirts, and another each, not so large as to attract unwanted attention, to carry at the belt. Egwene had taken a lesser amount, there being one gold in the waist. Elaine frowned at the 2 neatly folded bundles and a little script lying beside the door. They held all of her clothes and other things, cased knife and fork, needles, pins, scissors, a towel and a second knife, smaller than the one at her belt, soap and bath powder, and it was ridiculous to go over the list again. Egwene's stone ring was snug in her pouch. She was ready to go. There was nothing to hold her back. No, he did not. Elaine
one
was
more
proud of how calm
hit of this, and then
he seemed almost relieved.
we'll start round 2.
Relieved. And I had to give him that letter, laying my heart open like a stone-blind fool. At least he won't open it until I am gone. She jumped at the touch of Nynaeve's hand on her shoulder.
Excuse me.
Did you want him to ask you to stay? You know what your answer would have been. You do, don't you? Elaine compressed her lips. Of course I do. But he did not have to look happy about it. She had not meant to. Nynaeve gave her a understanding look. Best. I cannot believe you would be so... Egwene began in an angry mutter. Elaine never learned what she meant to say, for at that moment the door crashed open so hard that it bounced off the wall. Elaine embraced Saidar before she had stopped flinching, then felt a moment of embarrassment when the rebounding door slapped hard against Lan's outstretched hand. A moment more, and she decided to hold on to the source a while longer. The warder filled the doorway with his broad shoulders, his face a thunderhead. If his blue eyes could really have given off the thunderbolts they threatened, they would have blasted Nynaeve. But Nynaeve, you let me believe you were returning to Tar Valon, he rasped at her. You may have believed it, she said calmly, but I never said it. Never said it. Never said it. You spoke of leaving today, and always that you're leaving with those dark friends being sent to Tar Valon. Always. What did you mean me to think? But I never said light, woman, he roared. Do not bandy words with me. Elaine exchanged worried looks with Egwene. This man had an iron self-control, but he was at a breaking point now. Nynaeve was one who often let her emotions rage, yet she faced him coolly, head high and eyes serene, hands still on her green silk skirts. Lan took hold of himself with an obvious effort. He appeared as stone-faced as ever, as much in control of himself, and Elaine was sure it was all on the surface. I'd not have known where you were off to if I had not heard that you ordered a carriage to take you to a ship bound for Tanchico. I do not know why the Amerlin allowed you to leave the tower in the first place, or why Moiraine involved you in questioning Black Sisters, but you 3 are accepted. Accepted, not Aes Sedai. Tanchico now is no place for anyone except a full-eyed Sedai with a warder to watch her back. I'll not let you go into that. So, Nynaeve said lightly, you question Moiraine's decisions, and those of the Amelin seat as well. Perhaps I've misunderstood warders all along. I thought you swore things. Lan, I do understand your concern, and I am.
One thing I don't like about these Raws
But we
is
all have tasks.
they don't like
to
staying
perform.
stuck
We are
together.
going. You must resign yourself to the fact. Why? For the love of the light, at least tell me why. Tanchico. If Moraine has not told you, Nynaeve said gently, perhaps she has her reasons. We must do our tasks, as you must do yours. Lan trembled, actually trembled, and clamped his jaw shut angrily. When he spoke, he was strangely hesitant. You will need someone to help you in Tanchico. Someone to keep a Tarabonner street thief from slipping a knife into your back for your purse. Tanchico was that sort of city before the war began, and everything I've heard says it is worse now. I could protect you, Nynaeve. Elaine's eyebrows shot up. He could not be suggesting. He just could not. Nynaeve gave no sign that he had said anything out of the ordinary. Your place is with Moraine. Moraine. Sweat beaded on the warder's hard face, and he struggled with the words. I must. Nynaeve, You will remain with Moraine, Nynaeve said sharply, until she releases you from your bond. You will do as I say. Pulling a carefully folded paper from her pouch, she thrust it into his hands. He frowned, read, then blinked and read again. Elaine knew what it said. What the bearer does is done at my order and by my authority.
I don't know what's
Obey
going
and
on.
keep silent at my command. Swan Sanche, Watcher of the Seals, Flame of Tarvalon, the Amerlin's seat. The other like it rested in Egwene's pouch, though none of them were sure what good it would do where she was going. But this allows you to do anything you please, Lan protested.
Not sure what's
You
going
can
on.
speak in the Amerlin's name. Why would she give this to an accepted? Ask no questions I cannot answer, Nynaeve said, then added with a hint of a grin, just count yourself lucky I do not tell you to dance for me.
There's something about
a smile
the
at her own.
URL.
Egwene made a choking sound of swallowed laughter.
That's
It
the
was
first
what
time that says
Nynaeve had
popped up.
said when the Amelin first handed them the letters. With this, I could make a warder dance. Neither of them had had any doubt which warder
Yep,
she
lady
would
number 2.
to owns this letter. In his eye, which Nynaeve seemed not to notice, as she took back the letter and replaced it in the pouch on her belt. You are very full of yourself, Aulan Mandragoran. We do as we must, as you will. Full of myself, Nynaeve Almira. I am full of myself? Lan moved so quickly toward Nynaeve that Elaine very nearly wrapped him in flows of air before she could think. 1 foot off the floor, and she was being quite thoroughly kissed. At first, she kicked his shins and hammered him with her fists, and made sounds of frantic, furious
Not
protest.
sure what happened
But her
there.
kick slowed and stopped, and then she was holding onto his shoulders and not protesting at all. Egwene dropped her eyes with
Hope everyone's
embarrassment,
doing good out
but
there
Elaine
today.
watched interestedly. Was that how she had looked when Ran? No, I will not think about him. She wondered if there was time to write him another letter, taking back everything she had said in the first, letting him know she was not trifled with. But did she want to? After a while, Lan set Nynaeve back on her feet. She swayed a bit as she straightened her dress and patted her hair furiously. You have no right, she began in a breathless voice, then stopped to swallow. I will not be manhandled in that fashion for the whole world to see. I will not. Not the whole world, he replied. But if they can see, they can hear as well. You've made a place in my heart where I thought there was no room for anything else. You have made flowers grow, where I cultivated dust and stones. Remember this on this journey you insist on making. If you die, I will not survive you long. He gave Nynaeve one of his rare smiles. If it did not exactly soften his face, at least it made it less hard. And remember also, I am not always so easily commanded, even with letters from the Earth. He made an elegant bow. For a moment, Elaine thought he actually meant to kneel and kiss Nynaeve's great serpent ring. As you command, he murmured. So do I obey. It was difficult to tell whether he meant to be mocking or not. As soon as the door closed behind him, Nynaeve sank onto the edge of her bed as if letting her knees give way at last. She stared at the door with a pensive frown. Poke the meekest dog too often, Elaine quoted, and he will bark. No, the man is very meek. She got a sharp look and a sniff from Nynaeve. He is insufferable, Egwene said. But will it be any different if you bring him to ask Lorraine to release him from his bond? Egwene asked. Lan is the kind of man who would see it as much the same thing. All that leaves is to somehow make her let him go of her own accord. How can you manage that? I do not know. Nynaeve firmed her voice. Yet what must be done can be done. There is always a way. That is
Cheers,
the point.
everyone.
Work to be done, and we sit here fretting over men. Are you sure you have everything you need for the waste, Egwene? Avienda is ready